Good evening. Welcome to Epiphany Lutheran Church in our Sala Music Center here in Richmond, Virginia. I'm Kevin Barger, the Director of Music Ministries, and this is our Music Minute, where we're taking a look at the hymns we'll be using in worship tomorrow. The first hymn, our gathering hymn, Praise the One Who Breaks the Darkness. This was a hymn written fairly recently, 1986. It was published in the Lutheran Journal, and it migrated its way into 10 hymnals from there. It was written during a Bible study on the life and ministry of Jesus. And quote from the author, "It is astounding how much Jesus did in such a brief earthly ministry, yet more astounding is how God's blessing and saving acts continue on through Christ. How can we do other than to praise this light in the darkness?" This is Praise the One Who Breaks the Darkness. We will then move on to the hymn of the day. That is Amazing Grace, How Sweet the Sound. And this was written to focus on the astounding grace of God. And the use of the word wretch, you might think, oh my goodness, that's a little controversial at times. It is the right word, though, because it's really referring to the wretched human state that Paul is wrestling with at the time. And it goes from a wretched state to the high ranks of amazing grace. So it really covers a multitude of things. One note, the last stanza of this hymn is actually by a different author, and it was added at a different time, and actually part of the hymn, Jerusalem, My Happy Home. So they've kind of morphed together over the years. The tune appeared earlier with different text, which is very common, so it was not written specifically for this. Amazing Grace, How Sweet the Sound. So that covers a little bit of everything. You can kind of feel the wretchedness and the amazing grace all together there. Moving on to communion, another oldie that we all probably know, Just As I Am Without One Plea. And this is older than the others we've been doing currently here. It was written in 1834. Charlotte Elliott wrote this hymn, and she lived with her brother, and the brother was having an attempt to build a school, so he was having a bazaar, and she was too sick to assist with that bazaar in that effort to raise money for the school. So while everyone was at the bazaar trying to raise money, Charlotte took her pen, and she felt useless and hopeless somewhat. And so she crafted this hymn, and if you take that context with the words that you see, it makes a lot of sense. And while the hymn technically has no refrain, the repeated last phrase, in essence, creates one. So there's not really one, but it has a de facto one. Just as I am, without one plea. Last but not least, we'll have our sending hymn, Awake, O Sleeper, Rise from Death. And this hymn actually starts with a direct quotation from Ephesians 5, which is a quotation from an earlier Christian hymn built on Isaiah 60, actually. So this found its way to our current hymnal via the With One Voice, the blue supplement that we used to have. And you'll likely recognize the tune. We more commonly sing this tune with "Oh, 4,000 Tongues to Sing." It's crisp, it's clean, it moves along, and it captures excitement. So we will do Awake, O Sleeper, Rise from Death. just like the hymn. All right. Thanks for joining us this evening, and hopefully you learned something maybe that you didn't know, and you'll be able to sing with gusto tomorrow and appreciate the hymns that we're singing. In person, that will be at 8:30 and 11 o'clock in the sanctuary, the 11 o'clock service being live streamed on YouTube. Thanks again for joining. I'll see you next week.